Hey guys, we're back with another case today, and this one came with a handwritten note. You know, one of those things that I really believe in is the handwritten note. Handwritten notes are so personal, they're so meaningful, and I was about to leave for the day, but I saw this one with a handwritten note, and I said, you know what, let's see if we can help out the Fergusons here. So the Fergusons have sent us the handwritten note. iPad Rehab team, my husband says you're the best. He's watched hours of your videos this past week after my phone wouldn't turn on. And he did that because he knows how much those pictures and videos mean to me. 2 years of memories of our now 3-year-old son taking his first steps and his first words, memories of my mom as she battled cancer. She passed away 2 months ago, and I would give anything to see her pictures with my son again. My habit of procrastinating finally caught up with me in the worst way. From now on, I will make sure my special memories are safe and secure. I appreciate you taking a look at my phone. I pray there's some hope for my memories, the Fergusons. Let's try to help out these guys. I lost my mother to cancer, and I know how hard it is to join that club. Let's go ahead and give a try. First thing I'm doing, I have not looked at this one at all. I was just about to walk out the door. And as we start, sometimes these bottom pentallobes can give you a little bit of a hard time, but they do have to come out. So what I do is I give it a little upward pressure sometimes, and that will make it so that magic happens and it will come right out. So there's one. I'm going to slide that pressure down to the other one. And you want to be careful because you're trying to preserve the screen and just get those stubborn pentallobes out. All right, now let's go ahead and clamshell open this one. So let's see, just looking at this one, I don't see a ton of water damage, which usually is not good news. I do see that we're missing a screw here. Let's take a look at that. Isn't that so we're missing a screw here, just completely missing where it's present there. So that is possible that it has worked its way loose and maybe is floating around somewhere. Let's kind of glance around this housing. Otherwise, this looks like a pretty normal iPhone 8. I don't see that screw, so it's possible that these guys, opened it up at another shop or something like that. I'm not really sure. A lot of times we see screws that are like that, especially if the phone is a refurbished phone to begin with. Refurbished phones that come from Apple tend to be pretty good. Refurbished phones that come from like Asurion or one of the insurance carriers tend to be. You can really see the the quota system that they have at those places to really get phones slapped together quick and back out the door without giving technicians a lot of time for the art of repair and observation and things like that. So those tend to be not great. All right, so I'm not sure what's going on with this one yet, but we're going to go ahead and do our standard step 1. So we're trying to see whether or not we even need to take the board out. So some of these are just really straightforward, and that's where I always hope when I hear a note like that, I'm always hoping that this is just one of those ones where they just weren't able to get the straightforward repair that maybe this device needed from their local Apple store that's not going to help them out, or their local Best Buy. So we're going to just see what happens with DC power supplies. So let's put up our on-screen DC power, and we're going to go ahead and plug this in. DC power supply is our primary tool for a phone with a complaint of it just doesn't turn on. So let's see. Maybe this is just a bad screen or something that will be something we can correct right away. All right, so with the electricity plugged right in there at the battery connector, we're sending that 4 volts of battery voltage, and so far we see 0 current. See that 0 current? That's normal. I kind of think that's bad because it means that there's no short circuit, and short circuits are easy to solve. But now let's see what happens. Maybe there's really nothing wrong and this phone will turn on right now. That's our our greatest hope. So we're prompting to boot with the power button, and we are seeing 0.05 amps, so 50 milliamp phone. 50 milliamp phone is pretty brain dead. Now, that's not our favorite category. Brain dead phones is an information problem instead of a power problem, but why? So we still have kind of our low-hanging fruit to rule out. This phone is currently brain dead, but why? Maybe it's brain dead because something that it's plugged into got damaged, and there is, especially here at the dock connector, there are some lines that if they become short here from external damage at the dock, they can bother one of the CPU brain lines and make the whole phone brain dead. So let's start disconnecting stuff. We're going to disconnect anything that's plugged into this logic board, including the screen. So we're going to do a little bit more disassembly here so that we... All right, so I've taken out all the screws, and that means that we are now ready to take out the logic board itself. All right, here's our logic board. Now, before we do anything else, let's go ahead and take a look under the microscope and see if anything jumps out at us. All right, so we're looking, is there any kind of water damage or long screw damage or any evidence of heat or something that's bent or cracked or broken? Anything that looks non-standard, signs of prior repair, anything like that, and I don't see anything. Looks like a perfectly normal, nothing wrong with it, iPhone 8 logic board. So that's either really good or it's really bad, because that means that either there was just a parts problem, something over here, something that's easy for us to just kind of put to the side, and we'll be able to get the logic board to just boot up with our known good parts, or it means that the likely case here is something like software corruption, which is something that's very challenging to intervene and is often not recoverable. So our next step is to go ahead and see what happens as we start eliminating some of these variables. So we've got our DC power supply plugged back in with our known good dock that definitely doesn't have anything wrong. And let's see, as we prompt to boot with DC, prompt to boot, prompt, and then we let go. Let's see, what do we have? And it looks like we still are in this brain dead category. We have a 40 milliamp hang. So that is not good. That is a pretty, kind of brain dead, can't do anything. And when we're in that sort of sub 100 milliamp range, then that's likely to be something really, really profound. Like the CPU itself is not attempting to turn on. Maybe it's being held in reset if it were an iPhone 6. Maybe there's something wrong with the crystal that sets the clock for the CPU. I'm not really sure. So we're going to first see if it is just auto booting into DFU mode. So we're going to see what happens if we ask this device to connect to a computer. So the computer is not detecting it, so it's not auto booting in DFU. One of the things I like to do when I'm troubleshooting a phone like this is I'm going to check to see if there's any difference between trying to boot from the power button and trying to boot from USB. So now let's go ahead and try to boot from the power button. And it's about the same, 40 milliamps. So, all right, it's time to take the sticker shields off and actually have a deeper look at the board since nothing's jumping out at us. And we're going to be looking for something that might give us a physical clue that then we can follow. All right, so we don't see anything really jumping out at us on this board. So we have to kind of guess what happened to this. How did it come to be this way? We can go around and measure measure some of the power voltages, and it doesn't look like there's anything there. Let's go ahead and pop off the CPU shield in case we can see any kind of a lift or crack right there. Okay, one of the next things that I like to do is a little bit of a trick. When a phone is acting like it's brain dead and it has no water damage and it doesn't really look like bend, then I'm going to ask it, does it respond to just pressure at the CPU? Did the CPU kind of pop up a little bit? Rather than reball the whole CPU right now, I'm going to just see whether or not that makes sense by checking to see if it responds to pressure. Prompt, prompt, prompt. Hallelujah. So it does look like it is responding to pressure right there at the CPU. What I'm going after is this idea that maybe this phone has had some sort of a mild flexion or some sort of bend. And if we're really after pictures, then maybe we can just apply pressure, get it to actually boot. This looks like it might be able to boot with that pressure on the CPU. Now, the way I applied that pressure was really gentle. I just gave it a fulcrum and then I pressed on it. Let's see whether or not we can get the Ferguson's phone to boot with a little bit of pressure on the CPU. That would whether be really or not great. This is likely to be an answer for us. All right, so we're going to disconnect DC power, and we're heading over to the battery. And we're going to give it that pressure. And let's make it so that we could actually see. Just, this is pretty slight. I'm not really trying to pressure to like flex the board at all. All right, now let's see if it can boot. So we've got an Apple logo. And we're going to see if it can boot. Nope. All right, I'm going to go get the Omnivice and give that a try. All right, we see the Apple logo, and we're going to give it a chance to boot up. Yes. All right. I'm going to hit trust. All right. Now that is the easy way to get the data from something that otherwise would have needed a CPU reball. All right, let me see if I can screen share any of that. All right, so right now she's got 78 gigs of photos that we are currently exporting. And I just wanted to share with you guys that having a practical approach where just, kind of being thoughtful and think like a physician, how could it come to be this way? So when you've got a brain dead phone that's like so severely brain dead that it can't do anything, I measured to make sure that I had power going to the memory. I made sure that I had power coming out of the crystal, which I did. And then Well, I don't know. You could start doing really invasive surgeries to try to guess. But before you do that, try to think, how did it come to be this way? Phone like this, it probably got some kind of mild flexion, and you can just kind of rule that out by a little bit of pressure on the CPU, and that is a really powerful tool. So we're going to go ahead and extract these pictures. All right, let's call Miriam and tell her the good news.
Hello?
Hi, is this Miriam? This is Jessa from iPad Rehab.
Hi. Hi, Jessa. Jessa, thank you for the call. Hi.
Your phone has a separation of the CPU and the rest of the board. The good news is that I can apply pressure to the corner of the CPU and get it to turn on. Enough for me to extract all those 79 gigs of pictures that you have on there. So you're gonna get them all back. So that's the good news.
Yes.
Now, I didn't want to root around in your photos too much, but everybody on YouTube is going to want to see a picture of Grandma.
Yes. Yes. She will have really, really short hair. She had cancer, so her hair was cut really short. She had glasses, gray hair, cute as can be. You'll recognize her when you see her. But, oh my God, Jessa. Oh, you don't know how much this really means to me. Thank you.
Well, I lost my mom to cancer. She had ovarian cancer. And that, it breaks your life in half into two big chapters. And the same thing happened to one of my my business managers. Sort of lost her mom really unexpectedly. And it's a really hard thing, I know. So your note really got to me, and I wanted to make sure that we got some good news for you. I'm really happy to be able to have the good news for you.
This just means the world to me. My family's going to be so happy. I'm the picture taker of the family, and that's why it's so awful that I didn't have it backed up, which will change from now on. But I mean, this is just so wonderful. My brothers and sisters are going to be so happy, and oh my gosh.
Well,
you just made my day.
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad to be able to bring some good news. There's a lot of bad news in the world right now, and it really is.
Yes.
Everybody is really more the same than different, and everybody that's lost a mom and has kids knows that that's the worst thing that there is. But listen, with your phone, you should put all you can download an app called Google Photos, and then just kind of click it open every now and then it will just automatically update everything to Google Photos. And then you can search things like, when was the time we were in the cornfield, and just type in cornfield and you'll find them. And it's really, really nice, So that's what I recommend doing that. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yes, I will be doing that. Absolutely. I will have that. But my husband told me that I think maybe he's been watching your videos for weeks now. He's like, she's the best. If it can be done, she can do it. He is like your biggest fan. So
well, this one,
excited.
This one I just did decide to just kind of jump in and make a video tonight. It's a recorded video rather than a live video, and because I wanted to see, just try with videos, the stories of them. Just it makes us all connected. I really like the stories of these repairs and how everybody's pictures are the same. It's always the same birthdays and pictures of sunsets and food and snowmen. And when we're all real divided, I think that sort of message of us all being the same is really strong. I think that I'm glad to make a video about this one, because I think that a lot of technicians would misdiagnose something like this and just be real aggressive and end up really making it unrecoverable. So this one will be good for the other technicians to kind of see that these iPhone 8s will just get a dead CPU out of the blue. That's a separation that for data recovery, if the safest thing to do is just apply some pressure there and get it to turn on, which is what we're doing now. So right now it's sucking off. It's got 14% of a mother load of pictures coming off of this on, and we're going to put them all onto USB drive for you so that you'll have them and they'll all be safe.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, you're such a smart woman. I have no technology sense ever. I do physical therapy. I work at a hospital. I have no technology sense. So, you're amazing to me. Oh,
Well,
my goodness.
well,
Amazing.
I'm just a mom, and I like to fix things, and I've ended up fixing this one with my finger and a Q-tip. So that's really about the mom skill more than anything else. So,
Yes, yes.
so I'm glad you'll be able to see the video, and I'll kind of get that done maybe even tonight. I'm not really sure. So, congratulations, you're gonna get it all back, and we'll hopefully you'll have a better night tonight, and we'll be in touch when it's all put back together. Okay.
Okay, thank you so very much. Truly,
right.
from the bottom of my heart. Thank
All right.
you.
You're
Have a
welcome,
good night.
Miriam. You too. All right. Bye-bye. Now that is really what makes data recovery for iPhones one of the most rewarding professions that there really is. So if you want to learn how to really get into it, if you're an analytical thinker, you're a logical person, you like puzzles, then data recovery might really speak to you. You can go to iPadRehab.com and click on our training link and learn all about our 5-day practical board repair school, where we kind of get you set up to start using these tools to solve problems like this. Because there really is nothing better than getting to deliver good news like we just did today. So we're going to finish this one up. I think I'm gonna find a picture of Miriam's mom and put that up as the thumbnail, so you'll get to see it, the good news there. And I will see you guys on the next repair.